Thanks for joining us on the CBN News Channel. I'm Charlene Israel. It is the most sensational murder trial you've never heard of because it's getting almost no media coverage, and the victims in this case are unborn babies. Gary Lane has the story.
Dr. Kermit Gosnell is charged with killing a woman patient and 7 babies allegedly born alive at his abortion clinic in inner-city Philadelphia. Gosnell could face the death penalty. 8 former employees have already pleaded guilty, some to third-degree murder. They've testified about the bizarre and often chaotic practices at the clinic, including some of the horrible things they saw. One said she saw aborted babies move at least twice. Another said she snipped the spines of at least 10 babies. And another said she thought one baby could have lived if it had not been aborted. She cried as she said she thought he was at least 30 weeks, around 7.5 months along. Gosnell himself later joked the baby was so big he could have walked to the bus stop. Gosnell's lawyer disputes that any babies were born alive, and his former lawyer, Bill Brennan, says the trial will take some time.
Between death penalty, length of service, and the abortion issue, and when you factor that in, I mean, it got international attention when it broke. It's going to be a long, difficult process.
Although the Associated Press has reported on the trial, it has received virtually no national media coverage. That's led some conservatives and at least one liberal to criticize the media for ignoring the case. Liberal analyst Kirsten Powers wrote in USA Today Thursday, "Let me state the obvious. This should be front-page news. You don't have to oppose abortion rights to find late-term abortion abhorrent or to find the Gosnell trial eminently newsworthy. The deafening silence of too much of the media, once a force for justice in America, is a disgrace." Gary Lane, CBN News.
The state of Delaware is investigating the Planned Parenthood abortion clinic in Wilmington. 2 nurses claim the clinic is operating under unsanitary and unsafe conditions. They told Philadelphia's ABC television affiliate that they quit the clinic to protect their own medical licenses. They said the clinic uses unsterilized instruments. They also claimed that patients there rushed in and out, leaving operating tables soiled and unclean. They called it a meat market style of assembly line abortions. One nurse worried she would be held liable if a patient was hurt there. Abortion protests are at the heart of a First Amendment case that the Supreme Court will hear soon. The question, should the government ever forbid pro-life protesters from showing gruesome images of aborted babies in public? As Paul Strand reports, the case transcends abortion and could have serious implications for free speech in America.
Ken Scott would be considered somewhat of a rabble-rouser among pro-lifers. He and his fellow protesters routinely yell at customers and workers at Denver's largest abortion clinic.
God says do not murder, Steve.
And they often display large, horrifying photos of what they consider the most horrifying of acts, the killing, often dismembering, of little unborn babies.
The signs here portray the results of abortion, and that's why the protests exist, because it's the taking of a human life in a very gruesome and gory way.
Scott talked to CBN News just outside the clinic.
A picture's worth 1,000 words, and it shows the truth. Where's the picture of choice for all these girls over there saying, I believe in choice? They're not showing the picture.
But showing such images outside what they consider an abortion-supporting church in full view of children during an outdoor processional earned them an injunction against displaying their graphic posters. Colorado's courts declared such images caused psychological harm, including to the pastor's daughter. The judge who slapped the injunction on Scott wrote, Reverend Carlson's daughter, age 7, buried her face in a hymnal as she passed the protesters and was still upset about the posters I've described several days later.
In this present age, when safeguarding our children is the #1 thing, this seems like a pretty open and shut case. Of course we want to protect our kids.
I'm a parent. I don't want my children to be disturbed and upset.
But UCLA professor Eugene Volokh has officially petitioned the U.S. Supreme Court to review this case and declare the First Amendment completely protects showing such gruesome images.
If you allow courts to restrict speech simply because there's some evidence that some children are upset and disturbed, and in the court's view that is tantamount to psychological harm, that would allow a restriction on a vast range of speech that needs to remain constitutionally protected.
Volokh points out such gruesome photos helped bring an end to lynchings of African Americans and made the Holocaust real to a shocked world.
Photographs of the dead and the near dead from the concentration camps were very important in getting people to fully understand what it is that happened there.
Again and again in American history, injustice has been brought to an end when people saw the victims of that injustice. That's what we're trying to do here with these signs.
If the U.S. Supreme Court lets the Colorado law against these images stand, these pro-lifers and other opponents warn it will eat away at one of America's most cherished rights, freedom of speech.
Because if a law lets you tell me what I can no longer show or tell, even if I think it's of paramount importance, well, who's to say someone someday can't use that same law to prevent you from saying or showing what you think matters most? Paul Strand, CBN News, reporting from the campus of UCLA.
Missouri's Attorney General will not appeal a federal appeals court's decision striking down a Missouri law exempting those with moral objections to the birth control mandate in Obamacare. But he is asking a judge to revise the ruling so religious institutions will have the same exceptions that they have under federal law. Last year, the Missouri legislature passed a law requiring insurers to issue policies that don't cover birth control if the buyers say they have moral, ethical, or religious objections. A federal judge ruled that the law conflicts with the Obamacare mandate for birth control. Secretary of State John Kerry is in South Korea today, meeting with South Korean and U.S. military officials. Tensions have been high on the Korean peninsula for weeks now. North Korea has warned that it has weapons ready to fly if it's provoked. U.S. intelligence says North Korea has advanced its nuclear know-how to the point that it could arm a ballistic missile with a nuclear warhead. President Obama is calling on North Korea to step back from the brink.
Now's the time for North Korea to end the kind of belligerent approach that they've been taking and to try to lower temperatures. Nobody wants to see a conflict on the Korean Peninsula.
Mr. Kerry will also visit China, which he hopes will use its influence to get North Korea to rein in its nuclear program. Israel hopes it can one day reach energy independence now that natural gas is flowing from a large offshore reserve. CBN Middle East Bureau Chief Chris Mitchell has that story.
4 years after its discovery, the Tamar Reservoir began supplying Israel with natural gas from the Mediterranean Sea that will fuel its electric power plants.
From now on, Israel can provide its needs for the next decades.
The Tamar field is located about 60 miles off the coast of Haifa. Energy and Water Minister Silvan Shalom declared it a day of energy independence.
It's much cheaper, and of course, it's much cleaner. And from now on, the whole energy market will save at least 1 billion shekels every month. It means about $300 million every month.
That savings begins in the Mediterranean and then makes its way here. The natural gas flows through an underwater pipeline for about 100 miles to a platform off the coast here near the Israeli port of Ashdod. It's predicted that Tamar wells could eventually produce more than 4 times the energy value of Saudi Arabian wells.
Natural gas is a very good companion, in a sense, to solar, and that could help make Israel very independent and I think secure with respect to its electricity generation, not needing to import anything.
Before the fall of the Mubarak regime, Egypt supplied about half of Israel's natural gas needs. Afterward, extremists blew up the pipeline almost continuously. That led to the permanent cutoff of the supply.
The latest events in the region, not just in Egypt, only enhanced the feel that we need to rely on our own resources.
Still, some experts say there are risks involved.
Imagine that in 2 years' time, 70% of the electricity, most of the fuel for industry and for transportation and other uses is going to be based on gas from one field, which is subject to strategic threat, a threat of missiles attacks.
Former CIA chief and energy expert James Woolsey told CBN News the fields represent a strategic advantage for Israel.
Israel's certainly a lot better off in terms of their energy independence from having found these gas fields.
An even larger gas field called Leviathan is expected to come online in 3 years. That reservoir is expected to take Israel from not only energy independence, but to an energy exporter. Chris Mitchell, CBN News, Ashdod, Israel.
Back here at home, a former substitute teacher in New Jersey says he was fired for giving a student a Bible. Walt is suing the Phillipsburg School District. His complaint with the Equal Employment Commission contends officials fired him on religious grounds. Tutka says that he gave the student his Bible after that student asked him about a Bible verse that he quoted. A tiny hymnal that could be the first book ever printed in America is going up for auction. The Old South Church in Boston owns 2 of 11 remaining copies of the Bay Psalm book. One of them will be put on the auction block in November. The book was published by the leaders of the Massachusetts Bay Colony in 1640, just 20 years after the Pilgrims landed at Plymouth. It could bring up to $30 million. Coming up, from a historic season in American history to fighting the slave trade in India, our movie reviewer tells us about this week's offerings at the box office.
Today we're on a field trip to discover what inflation is doing to our paper money. In this hand is a $20 bill, and in this hand is a $20 US gold coin. They used to have the same buying power, but how much can they buy today? In this first basket is what my $20 bill buys: milk, bread, peanut butter, and jelly. And here's what one $20 gold coin will buy: 6 baskets full, worth nearly $2,000, almost 100 times more food, simply by owning gold dollars instead of paper dollars. History shows that the gold coins have been the best way to beat the rising cost of living. So class, the moral is that unless you want to live on peanut butter and jelly sandwiches in the future, you should turn some paper dollars into gold coins now. How and why is explained in a new book, The Great Debasement. Call the number below for a totally free copy. And that's the simple truth.
Help! If an emergency happened right now, you can have help at the push of a button with Medical Alert.
Remember when I took that fall, Mary?
Oh, yes, that was terrible.
Yes, it was.
Help!
And I thought, what if you hadn't been there? I ordered my Medical Alert the next day.
I can't describe how safe I feel now with my Medical Alert. You didn't know I was wearing it, did you?
Medical Alert is easy to install, waterproof, and covers you inside your home and out.
It helps me feel safe from fires, break-ins.
And of course, a Medical Alert. And if you don't have a home phone, don't worry. They have that covered.
There's always help at the push of a button. Don't wait till you need it.
Get Medical Alert for less than $1 a day. There are no long-term contracts. Order now and get your second button free. Call for your free brochure.
For your free Medical Alert system with second button free, call 800-575-8507.
From CBN.
Broken Eardrum is playing at the Civic tonight.
And you'll just have to miss it.
This is so incredibly unfair.
A special story of love and sacrifice.
Joy, Mom comes up with something.
Christopher Quantum, you and I are going to discuss your attitude right this minute. Superbook.
No.
Join the Superbook DVD Club and get Superbook's newest episode, He is Risen. Plus 2 copies to share with others. All for your gift of $25.
They have arrested Jesus, the Messiah.
Do you not know that I have the power to crucify you?
No! Please! You can't! They've taken him to Golgotha. We must hurry. Mary is about to lose her son. The worst thing any mother could face. I am not leaving her.
Superbook. It's an amazing way to build a strong spiritual foundation in the children you love.
Mary, who are you looking for?
I've seen him! He is alive!
Superbook. He is Risen. Available now.
The weekend is here, and that means it's time for our regular movie reviews with Bob Waliszewski. He is director of Focus on the Family's entertainment review department called Plugged In Online. Bob, a couple of movies today. Let's start with 42, the bio about Jackie Robinson. I actually interviewed the cast of this movie, and I thought it was a pretty great film. There were moments when I laughed. There were moments when I cried. I thought the writing was really, really good. What did you think of it?
I am right on your same page today. 42 hits a home run.
Definitely.
Yes, unintended. Because this story is more than just a sports legend pick. This is a film about courage. It's inspirational. It highlights racism in the way it should be highlighted, that what a travesty it was, because it takes us back to 1945 when segregation ruled and whites and blacks often had separate restrooms, separate businesses, and one ball club owner has the courage to say, I want to break and bring that racial barrier down. This film doesn't flinch from the verbal abuse and the physical abuse, the emotional abuse. It's there, but it underscores in a very positive way just how awful racism is. As such, for teens on up, I gave this one a hearty 3.5 out of 5 for family friendliness. I like this film. Now, tell me, Charlene, a little bit about your meeting with the cast when you got it. It was Harrison Ford among those that you interviewed?
He was the first person I actually interviewed, and he was very kind. He was fascinated with the character that he was playing, and he was just really giving it all a thumbs up all the way. It was really great meeting him.
We even see some pretty good faith content. So,
I love the fact that he said that God is a Methodist in the film. That was a bit of humor, but it was Christian based. There was a lot of faith elements, and I love that in the movie. It was really, really well told.
I'll put it this way. My wife attended this screening with me, and she said, this is a DVD we need to own.
Well, you also reviewed Not Today. Tell us about that film.
Yeah, it opens in limited markets this weekend, 20 cities across the CBN universe. This is another film that, like 42, I'm going, yes, I like this film. It deals with the subject of human trafficking, not in a documentary style. We've seen several good films along that, but this is a story. It deals with one Indian man in Hyderabad, India, with his daughter who's begging from some 20-somethings from Southern California. The 20-something says, no, I'm not going to help you. Then he feels guilty about it and decides later, I should. After having an encounter with the dad again, finds out that the dad has sold his daughter into slavery. He says, let's go find your little girl. It's a gripping story. This film is intended to inspire us to pray, to give, to get involved on behalf of the Dalit people. What are Dalit people? They are 250 million people in the land of, in the country of India who are not even in the caste system. They're starting to come and get schooling, and I love this film. This film is really to inspire us, and it did for me. 42 and this one are films to buy and own.
Definitely 2 for 2. Bob Waliszewski, excellent. Thank you so much again, as always, for joining us.
Okay, have a great day.
You too. Up next, CBN's exclusive interview with Senator Rand Paul and his solution for what ails America. See David Brody's visit with the Paul family in their Kentucky home.
Attention sleep apnea patients. Are you tired of the expense and hassle of getting your CPAP and BiPAP supplies? Are you fed up with dealing with ill-fitting, leaking, or worn-out masks and straps? Are you worried about the effects that unsanitary tubes, cushions, and filters have on your health? If you said yes to any of these questions, Allied Medical Supply Network has the solution to your problems. You could qualify to have your supplies regularly delivered right to your door at little or no cost to you. That's right, no more inconvenience, no worn-out masks and straps, no more unsanitary equipment, just restful sleep. Call Allied Medical Supply Network today to determine if you may qualify to receive your fresh, brand-name supplies at little or no cost. Don't delay. Call us now to see if you are eligible to save money on regular delivery of your CPAP and BiPAP supplies. Call 1-800-815-9947. That's 1-800-815-9947. Or go to cpapsupplyhelpline.com.
Announcing an important breakthrough in healthcare that can benefit everyone. If you or anyone you love needs affordable health insurance, regardless of a pre-existing medical condition, call Quick Insurance 123 today and get the immediate relief you deserve. Quick Insurance 123 was created to provide affordable health insurance to all uninsured Americans, with or without pre-existing conditions. This is not a discount card. This is a real insurance program that lets you choose from many affordable health plans, with access to doctors, hospitals, emergency services, and more. So call the number on your screen now and get the health coverage you need just for calling. As a special bonus, we'll send you a free prescription savings card that could save you up to 85% on your prescriptions. That's right, you could save up to 85% on your prescriptions just for calling. Call Quick Insurance 123 to find out how you can get affordable health insurance and receive your free prescription savings card just for calling. Don't wait. Getting a free quote is as easy as 1, 2, 3. Call today.
Could Republican Senator Rand Paul be the next president of the United States? He is showing signs of running in 2016, but he's not your traditional Republican candidate. David Brody spent some time with Senator Paul at his family at their home in Kentucky, and he brings us this report.
Did you see any movement in the nest?
Rand Paul is keeping an eye on the bald eagles near his home in Kentucky, but the eyes of the nation are on him.
I will speak until I can no longer speak.
Last month's historic 13-hour filibuster on the Senate floor about the president's policy on drones got everybody's attention, even his son.
I was at lunch and I was on Twitter on my phone and I saw something about it and wasn't really that surprised.
You're like, what's Dad up to?
Yeah.
But nobody should have been surprised by the senator's ability to filibuster, especially on the subject of drone attacks.
My wife will tell you I can drone on and on and on.
He's also droning on about the current state of the Republican Party.
The GOP of old has grown stale and moss-covered.
I think Rand Paul has an attitude that we haven't seen in Washington for a very, very long time.
Rand Paul can't be put in a tiny little box. For example, he differs from the traditional GOP position on war.
Part of Republicans' problems, and frankly, to tell you the truth, some in the evangelical Christian movement, I think have appeared too eager for war.
But on financial matters, Paul takes a solid conservative line against Washington's huge budget deficits and overspending.
When people come to me, they say, well, you sound like you're against all government. And I say, well, no, I'm for $2.6 trillion worth of government. That's a lot of government. That's what comes in. I'm for spending what comes in and not borrowing.
And another layer. Paul mixes his libertarian views with his Christian faith, like on marriage.
Marriage has always been a state issue. I think if you make it a federal issue, we're going to lose every state then, because I think the push is going in the opposite direction in many states.
But unlike some libertarians, Paul is not for the legalization of drugs, though he does believe that some drug sentences are too harsh. He is firmly pro-life and supports prayer in local schools.
And I think people do misinterpret the First Amendment. They think the First Amendment was somehow to say that your local school would never have a prayer in it, and I think that's wrong.
Paul is a deep thinker, his politics influenced by Austrian free market economist Friedrich von Hayek and Ayn Rand, who is considered anti-God. But ultimately, his libertarian conservative views filter through a biblical lens. He became a Christian when he was a teenager.
Yes, I do have a personal relationship with Jesus Christ.
But he tells me that much like his father, he doesn't wear it on his sleeve.
Mine has never been one that I felt like it was going to be my role to convert people.
But that doesn't mean he shies away from speaking boldly about the spiritual condition of America.
It needs a resurgence through churches, through revivals, through a spiritual cleansing of the people. It's not a politician that's going to save the country. You know, it's not any preacher who's going to save the country. It's people finding salvation. But people need to realize that that's not in politics.
His wife Kelly is like-minded. The Pauls are regular members of their Methodist church, and she relies deeply on her faith.
Anything can happen any day, any moment. You can lose everything except for your soul and your relationship with God. It is the only permanent thing.
Being a U.S. Senator may not be a permanent thing for Rand Paul. He'll be in New Hampshire and Iowa in the next couple months, fueling speculation that a presidential run is just around the corner.
What are some of the thoughts going through your mind in terms of how you're going to arrive at that process or at that decision?
I have to ask my wife.
Well, let's get her back. Can we get the chair?
So we did. What does the cautious-minded Kelly Paul think?
I mean, if I were spinning out, imagining what we're going to be doing exactly 2 years from now, I think I would probably not be on board.
Good to see you.
So for now, Rand Paul is content to just cruise through the McDonald's drive-thru and hit the road around America, preaching his Tea Party message to anyone who will listen. Because at his core, he's just an eye doctor from Bowling Green who thinks he just may have the right prescription for America.
Revive us again.
Amen. What about Senator Paul?
David Brody, CBN News in Bowling Green, Kentucky.
And you can see more of David's visit with Rand Paul, including some behind-the-scenes moments on his Brody File program. Watch it at our website, cbnnews.com. We'll be right back.
When you're driving along and your cell phone rings, do your eyes instantly go off the road? Then you need to get a grip. Hi, David Jones here with the new Grip Go, the most versatile hands-free mount that will instantly grip any phone for safe driving. Just attach the suction cup to your windshield or dash, and Grip Go grabs your phone ultra fast. Then it peels right off. And don't worry, there's no sticky residue left behind. The 360-degree pivoting mount allows you to always get the perfect viewing angle. It's even strong enough to grab and hold this expensive smartphone out the window. Yet it comes right off with ease. That's the advantage of Grip Go. You can get the amazing Grip Go with dashboard mount for only $14.95. We'll send you a second kit free. Just pay separate processing and handling. Get 2 complete Grip Go systems for just $14.95.
To order Grip Go for $14.95 plus processing and handling, call 1-800-709-5259 or order online at getgripgo.com.
Jim is 38, mortgage, married, 3 great kids. He wants to protect his family with a $500,000 term life insurance policy. What do you think it'll cost him? $100 a month? 60? 40? Actually, none of the above. Jim can get a $500,000 policy from a highly rated insurer for under $19 a month. His secret? SelectQuote. SelectQuote is impartial. They'll comparison shop the pick of insurance companies like these to give you a choice of your best prices. SelectQuote has great savings on term life for women, too. Jim's wife, Deidre, can get a $500,000 policy for under $16 a month. SelectQuote has helped make term life insurance affordable for hundreds of thousands of people since 1985. How about you? Just call this number or go to SelectQuote.com. SelectQuote. We shop, you save.
CBNnews.com. News you want, when you want, 24/7. Stay current with up-to-the-minute stories.
Efrem Graham, CBN News, New York.
I don't have to wait for my news anymore. CBNnews.com at your fingertips all day long.
I only watch the stories I want to see.
I find the story, I click on it, and boom, I'm there.
Embassy in Washington, Eric Stackelbeck, CBN News.
The source for your news, CBNnews.com.
Finally, a shepherd in combat boots, a saint, a blessing from God. That's how fellow soldiers remember Army Chaplain Amo Kapon. On Thursday, he was awarded the Medal of Honor posthumously for his extraordinary heroism. His nephew accepted the award. Father Kapon, as he was known, was among the first U.S. troops on the ground in the Korean War.
In the chaos, dodging bullets and explosions, Father Kapon raced between foxholes, out past the front lines, and into no man's land, dragging the wounded to safety. When his commanders ordered an evacuation, he chose to stay, gathering the injured, tending to their wounds.
Father Kapon negotiated for a safe surrender and saved a fellow soldier from being executed. In captivity, he led prayer services. He was persecuted for his faith, but never lost it. Father Kapon was 35 when he died a prisoner of war. True hero indeed. Well, that's going to do it for the CBN News Channel. We hope that you'll join us next time. Have a great day.
If you had a choice between going bald and a full head of hair, which would you choose? Advances in medical science have resulted in the world's first and only permanent solution to hair loss.
Yes!
You wash it, you cut it. It's your own real, naturally growing hair. When it comes to hair restoration, no one in the world has more experience than Bosley. The results look completely natural and are affordable on nearly any budget. But the entire process can't be explained in 60 brief seconds. So to find out more about this clinically proven and permanent solution to hair loss, call now to receive your free no-obligation information kit. It'll answer all of your questions about hair loss and hair restoration. Plus, we'll also send you this $250 gift certificate just for calling. Every day you wait, you're losing more hair. So don't put it off any longer. You owe it to yourself to find out the facts. Choose hair. Choose Bosley.
Call 800-868-9957. That's 800-868-9957. Introducing the CBN Bible from CBN.com.
Now, an easier way to study the Bible and grow in your faith. Highlight your favorite verse. Read separate versions at a glance. Click and read a commentary. Or cross-reference your favorite verse using the Strong's Concordance. All the right tools to study the Bible, all in one place. The CBN Bible, available at cbn.com/Bible or the iTunes App Store.